Hi, this is Teresa from Pumpkin Glass, and thanks for joining me to make a pair of these easy curve earrings. This is some samples that I have here. And this is our make and take this month for March 2025. You are going to need two 4.5-inch pieces of 20 gauge wire. I am using this non-tarnish craft wire that's either coated with antique copper plating, silver, or I have some cut over here in gold. You'll also need a pair of earring wires for your finished project. Two 6mm gemstones. You could use something bigger or smaller, but you might have to change the length of your wire a little bit. Either way, these are some jade. And you're going to need as many as 16 of these size 8 seed beads. So I have some of those out in a color that I think goes with the stone. And I'm also going to be using some 3mm hematite beads to kind of set off the blue. And of course, these come in lots of different colors. So first step is to grab a pair of round nose pliers, and we're going to turn a tiny loop at the bottom to get started with, like this pair has. So I'm going to take the tip of my pliers, and I'm almost at the bottom, not quite, and I've got my wire all the way in the pliers, not sticking out this edge. And while I hold firmly, I'm going to push the wire around with my finger while I turn my hand. Check it. Oh yeah, actually I'm a little over closed. It was a little bit easier to turn than I thought it would be. Don't want to go that far closed. So you want to pee when you're finished. And then you're going to take your pliers and kind of angle them a little bit so that this jaw on the other side is right below where the close of the loop is, and the other end of your pliers is in the loop. And I'm going to hold it like that, and I'm going to push this tail back enough that that loop ends up centered on my wire. So you're going to do that with both of your wires. So let's do it again. I've got it at the same spot at the very end. I'm going to push and just keep rotating until that loop closes. Then rotate this jaw so that it's touching right under the join while I pull the wire back to center this loop over the wire. Okay? And I can feel a little bit of the catch on these because I didn't turn them perfectly perpendicular, so I'm just going to give them both a squeeze to make sure that little tail isn't sticking up. All right, next I'm going to grab a couple of these 3mm hematites, and I'm going to add one of those to the wire, and then my stone, and then excuse me, one more hematite bead. And with those on the wire, I want to mark a 1/2 inch above this last bead. I've got a Sharpie marker here, and I want to make sure my beads are pushed all the way down against that loop. And from the top of that last hematite I strung, I want to measure, whoops, stay still, about a 1/2 inch and mark it. And don't worry, this is not permanent on your wire. In fact, most of the time it gets rubbed off too quickly with your fingers. And actually, I think it moved a little bit. So top of the mark is what I'm going to be going by. And you'll do that with both of your wires. And I actually like to turn it and mark it all the way around, because it seems like I'll be working and I'll have it marked on one side, and that is the side that never fails. I can't see while I'm working on the earrings, so I just extended that around. Now I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and what we're doing, just to kind of let you know where we're at, is we're leaving that space above the stone that will have this loose wrap on it. And now we're going to make this loop on top. So I'm going to grasp, not at the very end, but you don't want a big loop up on here. So I'm going to say, what is that? Oops. It's about 1/8 of an inch down from the nose of my pliers. And I'm going to take this wire with my finger as I'm holding that mark, and I'm going to press it up and over my pliers. So I'll turn it this way so you can see, so that I'm making that loop on top. And I'm going to bring it under just a little bit, so it started to wrap to the other side at an angle. Next, I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and I'm going to hold across. So I'm not inside the loop, I'm across the top of the loop. And I'm going to hold that firmly while I wrap, and I'm going to wrap this section right here with a few wraps, kind of a spiral design, just short of the top of that next bead, because we want to leave some room at the bottom when we scooch this up a bit to secure the wire underneath. So I need to leave open maybe about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to spiral. I'm going to stop and adjust it loosely till I have 4 wraps showing, and this is about the distance I want to be away when I stop. And now, if we tip it upside down, see how that's given me room to wrap the tail underneath, and actually it's quite a bit of room. So I think I'm going to finish that one a little further and end up on this side, because I really don't need more than enough room for a couple wraps underneath. So I'm going to form this wire with my fingers a little bit into a curve. So that after I get the beads on it, it's going to loop over all of the beads on my earring. Now I'm going to keep it upside down and string, 7 or 8. It kind of depends on the height of your beads, and not all 6mm beads are the same, but I want to cover this wire, or you wouldn't have to. Okay, so I've got 8 on, so I'm going to arc it out just a little bit more, because I want that last bead to be right up against this last hematite on my earring. So with that held in place, I'm just going to pinch the curve together here and do a couple wraps to secure it in that space I left underneath the stone. And trim it off with my pliers. Now, a couple things. This is not quite centered over the earring. So to do that, now you can do what we did before in the beginning with the loop at the bottom. I'm going to put my pliers in the loop, the bottom of them right across from where the loop ends, and push this with my finger just a little bit to center that up. And also notice I'm kind of tipped a little bit to the side with respect to this curve, so that when I hang it on my ear wires, my earrings are going to hang like this instead of like this with this on the side. So I'm going to hold this curve. Again, grab this loop across with these and hold this steady while I twist it so that these two pieces, the curve and the loop at the top, are parallel to each other. Next, I'm going to add my ear wire. So I'm going to grasp the front right underneath the ball on the side and lift that forward. If you've made the loop too small, it might not go over, which I did. So in that case, you add it to the back, to the end of the earring wire, and just let it slide around. Grab that same front section with your pliers and push it down and inward so that there's no space here for your earring to slip out. And just repeat it for your other wire, and you'll have a cute little pair of spring earrings. You can also, because of the month that it is, make them for St. Patrick's Day with a number of different green beads we have here for you to choose from. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.